Hey guys, so we have Eric here, and we are super stoked to have another NuCanoe shout out. You guys have probably seen if Eric hooked into a sturgeon, and my goodness, man, the footage, the film, all of it's really, really awesome. So we have Eric with us today, and we're gonna kind of sit down and see what the adventure looked like and how it went. So Eric, with that, man, I'll let you start us off.
Yeah, so I'm super fortunate to live very close to the Rainy River, northern Minnesota, border with Ontario, and it's a phenomenal lake sturgeon fishery. And just got into sturgeon fishing the last few years, and decided this year, you know what, I've got a NuCanoe Pursuit. It is a super stable kayak, and I'm gonna go get towed around by a sturgeon in it. So basically, loaded up, headed up to the Rainy River and had the most phenomenal day of sturgeon fishing I've ever had up there out of my pursuit. I was able to get to this area that was kind of hard to get to without crossing international borders, but was basically able to kind of do a combination of motor and paddle with the pursuit to cross some really shallow water, get to this hole where these sturgeon were just stacked, and they were jumping the whole day. They were breaching, and basically, typically sturgeon fishing may not be super exciting if you're just sitting there with your bait on the bottom. But I didn't go longer than 10 minutes without hooking up with a fish, and I just caught fish after fish after fish. It was phenomenal. Fish up to 63 inches long that you hook into them, and you lean back on these big circle hooks with this big heavy gear and 100-pound braid, and you cannot budge them, and they just start pulling you, and they tow you, and they pull you upstream, and they pull you downstream, and they try to pull you into Canada if you don't fight back. And it's so much fun. And basically, was able to not just catch a sturgeon from my pursuit, but actually just do it over and over and over again. The first day out doing this, I was lucky enough to catch 8 of them. And it's just with such a stable kayak, you can really, you can stand up to fight them. You can stand up to try to net them if they fit in your net. It's a phenomenal platform for going after these big fish, and it's so much fun to tie into these fish that can truly pull you around. I mean, other than the saltwater guys, I live in Minnesota, about as far from an ocean as you can be, but to tie into fish that can pull you upstream in a really large river, it's so much fun. Highly recommend it to everybody.
There. That's awesome, man. I know so many of us sturgeon are kind of like on our bucket list. When you sent over the footage and stuff, I was like, oh man, like Eric, he hooked a sturgeon. And then like your release videos, you had multiple. It was like different angles. I was like, wait, how many sturgeon did Eric get? And like you said more and more of them. I was like, that's next level to catch that many sturgeon. So a couple questions for you, man. One, I see that XI3 behind you. Is that your go-to method when you're getting into the sturgeon fishing?
So this is actually the pursuit I took up to the Rainy. I went up again yesterday and fished again, but I've got an NK 180 on that one with the EPS system and the foot steer, which I love, because then when you're fighting the fish, you can kind of keep them on your side of the river and keep them away from obstructions. The XI3, it's a new build for me on my older boat, also a pursuit. I have 2 of them, and so that's kind of a work in progress still.
Awesome. That's cool, man. And I've also, not to like say I social stalked you, but I might have social stalked you. You chase big fish, man. What do you have another species that's like on the docket for what you're looking to do?
So I really like catching a lot of different species. I am just kind of a multi-species freak. I spend a ton of time chasing smallmouth bass, love catching smallies, but I like to catch a lot of different species. So last year I caught my personal best muskie ever, caught a 52-inch muskie out of this boat right here during a bass tournament. Just total luck, but tied into it. And with one hook of one treble from a whopper plopper in the corner of its mouth, spent 20 minutes getting towed around basically, and landed just a giant muskie. Was very lucky there. And this year I think is going to be the year that I catch a flathead out of my kayak. So
Okay.
that's on the to-do list. I've never caught a flathead, and I really want to, and I really want to do it out of the pursuit. So
That's awesome, man. I feel like that, like, at least for me, like that trip planning, like picking a species, planning it out, executing, get it, that's like half the fun, man. And then you finally get
yeah,
in the space to go do it. Like that's the good stuff.
for sure, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric, for sitting down with us and kind of like walking us through this adventure. If you guys want to see the full video, we'll have a link down below to go see Eric fight this monster sturgeon and all the photos that come with it, man. So go ahead and click those and see the full story.